Hi, my name's Sheehan, and today I'd like to talk about Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. And I'd like to go through this famous comedy, probably written in 1598, just exploring the structure of the story, the plot, as well as some of the themes that crop up in this famous play. Now, it's in 5 acts. And the story really centres around a couple, Hero and Claudio, and love is not running smoothly with them. But also, perhaps even more famously than that couple, but a subplot in the actual play, another pair of lovers, Beatrice and Benedict. So the play is set in Messina in Sicily. Act 1, Scene 1, we're introduced to Leonato, who is the governor of Messina, and he's holding court, and his friends arrive who have just been at war. They come back to court, Don Pedro, Claudio and Benedict, and it turns out after out of earshot from Leonato that Claudio is in love with Leonato, the governor's daughter, Hero. And he doesn't know what to do about this, but Don Pedro, his older friend, suggests that at a masked ball he can woo Hero for Claudio in disguise. In the second scene in Act 1, Antonio, who's Leonato, the governor of Messina's older brother, an old man, he overhears the younger men talking about this, and he informs his brother Leonato of their plans. In scene 3 we are introduced to Don John. He's a nasty piece of work. He just wants to cause mischief and ruin people's lives, it seems. And Don John, who is Don Pedro's brother, he has received intelligence of this meeting between the 3 men about Claudio's wooing of Hero, and he vows to mess things up as maliciously as possible. In Act 2, Scene 1, we're at this masked ball, and sure enough, Don Pedro manages to win Hero over, disguised as Claudio. And after this, Don Pedro, with the help of his friends, decides to hatch a plan to get Benedict, Claudio's best mate, and Beatrice together. Benedict and Beatrice can't stand each other. There's this battle of wits whenever they're in the vicinity of each other. But the friends decide there's something there and they should get together. In the second scene, we're back to Don John again, this nasty man who wants to spoil everything, and he's seeking the advice of his right-hand man, Baraccio. He wants to sabotage the wedding between Hero and Claudio. In the third scene, this is where Benedict is duped into believing that Beatrice loves him. There's this setup where Benedict's friends are just saying how much Beatrice loves him, and Benedict thinks that they don't know he's there, but of course they do know he's there. It's all part of the plan. And Benedict now believes that Beatrice truly loves him. In Act 3, Scene 1, it's Beatrice's turn to be tricked, this time by Hero and Hero's attendants. In a similar way to the setup with Benedict, she hears that Benedict is utterly in love with her. Act 3, Scene 2 begins in a light-hearted way. Benedict is kind of teased by his friends about his sudden softening, it seems, towards Beatrice. But then Don John rears his ugly head, and he breaks the news to Claudio and Don Pedro that Hero has been unfaithful. They ask for evidence, of course, but then Don John says, "Come and see for yourselves," that evening. And it turns out that Don John's right-hand man, Baraccio, has been coming to Hero's window, watched by the others, and he looks like he's talking to Hero, wooing Hero. there seems to be something going on there. But it's not really Hero, it's her gentlewoman Margaret, and they're completely fooled by this. They think Hero is, all of a sudden she goes from this desired beauty to this this tart in their eyes, and she's disgraced herself. Now in Act 3, Scene 3, we're introduced to the Watch, who are this pathetic law and order group roaming the streets of Messina, led by Dogberry and his colleague Verges. And despite their incompetence, they apprehend Baraccio, who they overhear bragging about his exploits in shaming Hero through Don John's plans at the window. In the next scene, as with Benedict earlier, again, Beatrice this time is teased by her friends about her change in heart towards Benedict. In the fifth scene, it's the morning of the wedding, and Dogberry and Verges, the leaders of the Watch, come to Leonato, and they try and tell him that they've apprehended these scoundrels Baraccio and Conrad, and that they need to be questioned. Act 4 is heartbreaking, because in Scene 1, Hero is humiliated, utterly humiliated, and treated terribly, scandalously, by those who were supposed to be nearest to her. She's accused of all kinds of unfaithfulness because of what they saw at the window, which of course wasn't her at all. It was her friend Margaret dressed up like her, and in her shame she faints. And here we have a Friar Francis, who was going to officiate the wedding. He seems a kindly man, and he suggests that Hero should feign her death, so that when all is revealed and her name is cleared, those who wronged her will be struck with remorse. It's here that Benedict and Beatrice declare their love for one another, finally. But no sooner as they've done this, then Beatrice insists that Benedict go and kill Claudio, his best friend, for the way he's treated Hero so terribly. And with a heavy heart, Benedict agrees. In the second scene of Act 4, Dogberry and Verges haul Baraccio and Conrad in front of the sexton, who's like this church official, to be questioned. In the final act, Act 5, and in Scene 1, Leonato, Hero's father, and his brother Antonio finally know the truth. They direct their fury against Don Pedro and Claudio, who they see as responsible for Hero's death. Claudio agrees to marry Antonio's daughter out of duty, and then Benedict comes in with every intention to kill Claudio. They don't take him seriously at first, but then they realise that he means business. But then, happily, Dogberry and Verges bring in Baraccio, who spills the beans about the whole dastardly plot devised by Don John. They are all utterly mortified about how Hero has been treated, and they still believe that she's died. Benedict and Beatrice, who are kind of still bantering away in the second scene, are brought then to Leonato to learn for themselves what has happened, what has transpired with the confessions of Baraccio. In the third scene, Claudio and Don Pedro were at Hero's tomb, which of course isn't really her tomb at all. And in the final scene, to his absolute joy, as Claudio is about to marry Antonio's daughter, the veil is pulled back, and of course it's really Hero, come back from the dead, and they marry. Benedict and Beatrice of course also marry, and although Don John has fled the scene, he is captured, presumably to face his comeuppance on a future date. So that's the structure of Much Ado About Nothing over the 5 acts. And, you know, just it's such a wonderful play, isn't it? So funny, but it's got this real tragic heart as well. You do get the sense that because of the way Hero's been framed and the utter shame piled upon her, so unjust. The words Claudio says when he's supposed to marry Hero and she's so cruelly humiliated, I mean, they're really kind of nasty. Such a nasty speech. Give not this rotten orange to your friend. She's but the sign and semblance of her honour. Behold how like a maid she blushes here. Oh, what authority and show of truth can cunning sin cover itself withal? Comes not that blood as modest evidence to witness simple virtue? Would you not swear, all you that see her, that she were remade by these exterior shows? But she is none. She knows the heat of a luxurious bed. Her blush is guiltiness, not modesty. Goodness me, such a display of chauvinism in this speech. It's really kind of savage. There's a real darkness in this play. Despite the levity in other parts of Dogberry emerges, and of course the wedding at the end, there is this undercurrent of malice, of injustice. I mean, Don Pedro and Claudio, the way they, and indeed Leonardo, Hero's father, the way they just turn on her is frightening, and perhaps suggests something definitely not right with the attitudes of these nobles at this court in Messina in Sicily. Perhaps what the play's most famous for, of course, is the banter, the war of words between Beatrice and Benedict, and it's just such a delight to read and to hear when it's performed as well. I mean, some of the insults are so immediate, even to 21st century ears. There's this bit where Benedict calls her Lady Disdain. I love that, Lady Disdain. And then like Beatrice kind of retorts with, I'd rather hear my dog bark at a crow than a man swear he loves me. Benedict replies, God keep your ladyship still in that mind, so some gentleman or other shall escape a predestinate scratched face. And she goes, scratching could not make it worse, and 'twere such a face as yours were. You know, they're really kind of at each other's throats with these words. It's such a delight, it's so wonderful. It was definitely a highlight when I saw it performed a few years ago at the Globe in London, with this kind of banter, this war of words. And I suppose their relationship really is a subplot in this play. But it is Benedict and Beatrice who you think of, I think, when you talk about Much Ado About Nothing. The scenes with Dogberry as well, and the watch, Dogberry and Verges are funny, and the sexton. Dogberry is just so thick, and sometimes he's kind of being insulted when he's trying to get Leonardo's attention and the others' attention. He's like insulted by them, but he's just too stupid to realise that. Really funny. They're really good comic foils, those guys. So yeah, of course, Much Ado About Nothing needs no introduction. And of course there's nothing I can say which countless more eloquent people have said already before. But if you haven't seen this, or you haven't read it even, please check it out, because it really is great fun. But my goodness me, there's an emotional wallop in it as well, which kind of hits you in the guts. This really is a play that it suggests that there's always two sides of the coin in human attitudes, human behaviour, and they certainly showed up in this comedy. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of thing, please check out my other videos, particularly on the Shakespeare plays I've covered already. Alright, bye then.